Hi everyone and welcome back. I am here again speaking about yet another strong and potent shift we will be having in 2018 and carrying us through nearly the entirety of 2019. Yes, can I have your attention? Here we go. Jupiter is in Sagittarius. Like it's there, like it's in Sag. And it might still take like the rest of November and December to like really feel it or for it to really come into effect because like Jupiter in Scorpio was so powerful and so placed that it really dominated things energetically. So, it might take a little bit longer to really realize it. But yeah, like as you're watching this, Jupiter is in Sag, unless you're coming like way from the future in like 2020 or beyond. Jupiter's in Sagittarius, and this doesn't happen very often. It happens once every 12 years. And it is a very benevolent, wonderful, empowering, beautiful, if we want it to be, transit of Jupiter. Okay, so I need everyone, as you're coming to this video, to like look around, see your experience, see what's going on, and see how can I make this better, because it's there. It's going to become more obvious as well. There are going to be more opportunities, more possibilities, more endeavors, less excuses to not make things okay, and more just ability to really create the type of life that you've wanted for a long time. Things can start to get easy with this energy. So are we ready to have a bit of easiness? Are we ready to experience humor, fun, optimism, and progress? Because the only type of thing that can really make this sort of transit go wrong is refusing to have things easy or refusing to make things simple, okay? Because this is such an intensifying energy, such a like exponential multiplicative energy, if that makes sense. So if you want things to be hard, they can be really hard and difficult and overwhelmingly incomprehensible if you won't accept things to be easy into your life. So that is the only red flag with this energy. And if we're ready for simplicity, if we're ready to have like an enjoyable time, this transit can truly, truly create wind beneath your wings, can give you the path that you've needed, and I'm going to spell it out. I have a lot of things to speak about in this video, everyone. But first off, if you're new to my channel, I so hope that you will subscribe. My name is Sky. I am an astrologer, psychic, intuitive, and medium, and I channel messages intuitively about transits, monthly energies, specific experiences here on my channel, and I'm hoping to really take it to the next level and do some really incredible things, so I hope you'll subscribe. So I'm going to try to keep this positive, optimistic, and humorous. We'll get into some of the difficult parts of this transit. Any of y'all who've been subscribed to me for a long time know that I do not sugarcoat. I do not look at things with rose-colored glasses. Like, I'm all about getting into the realities, the difficulties, but also on the other end of that, when things are good, when things are real, when things are looking up, like I'm not about to make that into a negative situation. And if you're feeling negative or if you're feeling a little bit down, I would definitely recommend that you check out my Jupiter Strong line of various items. I have like t-shirts and phone cases, and it's just sort of an interesting thought that I had, because I think, with some of the more difficult transits that are happening, Pluto's in Capricorn, Saturn's in Capricorn, Uranus going back and forth doing its crazy retrograde thing. Like, let's have some like tangible reminders that Jupiter is very strongly placed right now, like very strong, and we can like have like nice benevolent situations if we want. We can utilize some of the energies that we're all able to tap into right now to make our experiences better. So check that out. Very minimal, very Spartan design. Jupiter in Sag is very much a like eccentric, grandiose thought, but I really want that to be like you, like do your own like grandiose thing. So I made like a very Spartan, minimalistic design for Jupiter Strong to really highlight and accentuate the incredible, eccentric, and grandiose things that you are doing. So check that out. It's a great way to support my channel and also to integrate a tangible reminder of the incredible Jupiter energy we have. So without further ado, everyone, let's speak a little bit more about what is coming in here. I feel that the first step towards facing and directing this energy and utilizing this energy is to have acceptance and understand what Jupiter in Scorpio represented to you. So what's happened to you over the last year, since about like mid-October of 2017? What new experiences have come in? What new battles have you had to face? What expansions have you had as a person? Like, what new realizations did you get? Did you realize what career was right for you? What relationship was right for you? Did you realize what was happening with your health? And based on those realizations, have you accepted what they entailed? And have you accepted the morals of those stories? Because that's what Jupiter sort of represents as an archetypal energy. It's about the expansions that you have, the realizations that you have. It's about your philosophical standards, your moral standards, and it's all about, of course, luck and benevolence. So through realizing and accepting what those were, you can automatically have a bit of luck and benevolence shifted into your experience relating to things that were difficult. And that is the beauty of this transit for sure. So to really be clear about that, what we have to do moving into the beginning of this transit, hopefully, is say goodbye to Jupiter and Scorpio. Because Jupiter and Scorpio energy, it's a hard transit period for Jupiter, I've learned. It's not debilitated in Scorpio. It's not really a bad place for Jupiter energy to be placed. But what I've understood throughout the last year of Jupiter and Scorpio is that it's quite desperate to get back home. It's sort of like if you're on a long journey, you're on a long trip by car, it's well known that most accidents happen a few miles away from the house, a few miles away from the home. So I feel like I interpret that in the same way for Jupiter. Like most of the accidents regarding Jupiter happen right before we get home. So like right in Scorpio. So yeah, we've all had these things emerge in our life which have been like really hard to deal with, like very perhaps like what we might consider accidents happened or traumas. Because again, Scorpio is all about trauma and all about, yes, death, rebirth, but that sort of entails, a strong ending phase, which is usually interpreted by us as trauma. So Jupiter being there, it expands everything. The ideas of trauma were expanded. So that's what we're all coming from. But let it be known that as Jupiter moves back into its home sign, it's like being home. It's like an exhale. This isn't, you might have a weird association with home, like maybe that your relationship with your home is not the best, but this is home. Like when you feel safe, when you feel secure, when you feel well placed, strongly placed, that is the energy that Jupiter has taken on. And now it's time to accept that and time to be ready to feel at home in ourselves. So sort of an interesting message within that is to like really stabilize your home base, really create a strong home base for yourself to be able to tackle some of the things that you need to in your life. It's interesting because Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, right? So there is actually an ideal of home and an ideal of stability, security, and comfort within the Jupiter energy. Because in order for Jupiter to, be the ruler of Sagittarius, all these high-minded, high-vibrational, academic, scholarly, and prestigious values, it has to have a solid home base with which to hold itself from, a solid foundation. Like Sagittarius can be like quite volatile people when they don't have a solid foundation because they can't channel that high like ninth house energy, up towards the midheaven, up towards the height of their being. So the thing first and foremost to do as you enter into this energy of Jupiter and Sagittarius is to stabilize the home, to create an environment with which you can have comfort and stability in. If you can't have that, you can't really accept the benefic energy of Jupiter and Sag. And, there are workarounds. For everyone, it's not possible, and I don't want to discourage you. Like, sometimes, we don't have $1 million just to go and, build our dream house, or we don't have the means to accomplish the grandiose things that this transit might also inject. It can also lend itself towards okay, if I can't have the multi-million-dollar house, or if I can't have this furniture or that, then I'm not going to have a secure, stable environment. That is a folly of this transit. You can really make minute changes in cheap ways that can make your environment secure and stable. And for some of you, you might have to bet on yourself, or you might have to invest in yourself and spend a little bit to create a more stable environment, but only if it's possible. You can't be discouraged if you don't have those means, but if you do, it might be encouraged to invest in yourself. And that's sort of an interesting discovery that I've made just in this video about Jupiter energy is, being exalted in Cancer, there is such a strong deep inner security that has to exist in order for Jupiter energy to be healthy. And I feel that that's why Jupiter and Scorpio for so many people, especially if you're a sign or have a placement that Scorpio makes a angle to, like a strong angle to, a classical angle to, you might have seen that really expanded the difficult aspects of your life. That was because the self-security was not present, or that was because the home and self-security was not present. So for those of you who really thrived throughout Jupiter and Scorpio, you were doing something right with your home, with your security. So look to that for reference. One great thing about Jupiter and Scorpio is you can look to it for reference. Really wonderful, and you have to, because again, Sagittarius is a very collegiate energy, very academic, so it kind of likes to look back at its notes, and it kind of likes to look at the references and the reports and understand like what the new hypothesis is, what the new thesis is on the experience. So allow yourself to hypothesize about your experience. Allow yourself to think in a high-minded way about, where does this path take me? Do I see myself being happy here? Do I see my ethics and virtues as a person being honored by this experience? Especially in the beginning of the transit, allowing yourself a bit of loftiness there is important. You know, maybe sitting down and like drawing up what your dream house looks like, or what your dream job looks like, and really not prohibiting that or not inhibiting that from yourself. And because that's, again, another problem area with Jupiter and Sag. It's not to say that just by wanting something you can have it. You know, for some people it's possible. So, you know, just by drawing your dream house on a piece of paper, it may not happen, but you can't take it away from yourself at the same time. Like, there's got to be a balance there. Like, enjoy the process of brainstorming and seeing these new things come into your life, or the possibility of them, but at the same time accept them as possible and accept a version of them as well. So like, maybe you can't have the dream house, but you can make your house somewhat of a dream. Like, really work around it in philosophical ways like that, and you will channel this energy really incredibly. And you kind of have to arrive. So at this point in the video, I'm going to stop speaking about Jupiter and Scorpio and about like what that represented. And I'm going to arrive here at Jupiter and Sagittarius and channel in some of the messages that I am feeling about that. So we've arrived here in Jupiter and Sagittarius. We've honored where we were before. We've seen the messages, and now we're ready to make the necessary changes. Now we're ready to not inhibit ourselves. We're ready to cut the shackles off from the things which hold us down. And we're ready to not succumb to old habits which keep us down. And I urge at the beginning of this transit to like keep moving and keep motion, because there can be a stillness that was associated with the past, or a stillness that was associated with Jupiter and Scorpio. We all kind of had to like be still and understand what we were feeling and not be distracted by that. Not the case anymore. If Jupiter and Scorpio was stillness, Jupiter and Sag is motion. Like, do not be too still. Keep the blood pumping, keep the lymph pumping, keep your body like in motion and moving, because, you know, like arthritis or things which negatively impact your health on account of a sedentary lifestyle or lack of motion can predominate in Jupiter and Sag energy, just because the energy is so like it moves a lot, it scrambles with this transit. So like, if you're not doing that with your body to some extent, even in small ways, you know, it can negatively impact your health. This is a transit where exercise is so important. Channeling your vitality in some way is important. You know, really opening the root chakra, solar plexus chakra, and heart chakra as well, to take in and breathe out incredible energy is necessary when working with Jupiter and Sagittarius energy. And something that I can say with certainty for nearly everyone is that there are journeys to be made with this energy. That's a strong intuitive message that comes forward about Jupiter and Sagittarius. There are journeys to be made. There are passages, there are transitions that have to be gone over. So how do you feel coming into that? How do you feel at this stage of the game about changes, or about transitions, or about movement? Because I know that was scary before. And I know I've said I've kind of moved past Jupiter and Scorpio, but it was hard to do that before. So there can sort of be a preventative nature that comes up in response to that. Like, okay, trying to be too quick before, or trying to escape something did not suit me well, so now I'm not going to do it. But now is the supported time to be adaptable, to allow yourself to thrive within a journey or within a transition, to really thrive regardless. That's a really beautiful message that comes up with Jupiter and Sag, is thriving regardless and adapting to a system where you can thrive in any situation. There are lessons to be learned there as well. There are like maybe lessons to be seen about like how a situation could have been thrived in before, but it's not to hold that against yourself. It's to allow yourself to thrive now. So what benevolence do you have coming into this transit and moving into it well? Like, you're going to be able to see by January 2019 what benevolence you have, how much you've gained, and how much has suddenly happened. Like, mark my words, by January, like everyone who's listening to this, and most people in general, especially if you have like Sag placements or like Gemini, anything mutable, or anything in fire as well. By January 2019, things are going to be different, okay? And then by around July 2019, it's going to be like 5,000 times different. So you're working on a transitional cycle on a scale moving up towards about July 2019, and you have to have by July 2019. And okay, I know we've jumped forward quite a bit of a ways here, but I really want you all to write this down or something. By July 2019, there needs to be a different foundation. There needs to be a different way of operating in life. There needs to be a way that is right for yourself and for your security of existing in your home, existing in your career, existing in your ambitions and desires. It has to become more in alignment with you, because, you know, we see a lot of expectation in the world regarding this type of thing. Like, okay, this is what an ambitious person does. This is what a healthy person does. Ambition is not always a healthy thing. Like, you know, we're societally like very connected into ambition and desire. I myself am as well. Some people more so than others, but it's not always healthy. Like, you can really deprive yourself of health by being overly ambitious, or vice versa. You can also never see yourself being accomplishing of what you've wanted if you don't allow yourself to want. You know, like, are you allowing yourself to want with this transit? Like, don't take that away from yourself, but find some balance there as well, because I also really like how balancing Sagittarius energy can be, especially in its later degrees. So as we move towards like the cusp of Sagittarius and Capricorn, there's an incredible balance that finally gets locked in that started in Libra. So at the Libra part of the zodiac, we start to strive towards balance, and we start to really weigh things out and start to understand, okay, where am I distributed? Where is my energy going? And then in Scorpio, we have to face the repercussions of that, or the rewards of that, of how we've placed our energy, and we have to make the appropriate changes. And then in Sagittarius, the changes are elicited, and the changes are in place, in action, and being manifested and materialized. And then in Capricorn, I mean, they truly get materialized in Capricorn, but the understanding of the balance and how that was becomes apparent. So that's sort of the progression that you're working with, and that's the progression, the ending part of that is being expanded and manifested by Jupiter right now. And to get into the timeline again, between the times of like January and July 2019, you've really got to make choices, and you've really got to place yourself strongly, you know, placing yourself strongly like Jupiter. Are we just allowing people to walk on us? Are we allowing people to make us what they need us to be? Like, are we in a relationship where submission and insecurities are dominating more than, you know, relatability and connection? You know, January through July 2019, it's so important, if you haven't already, like, it would be incredible if by like now, by like the shift from Jupiter and Scorpio to Sag, like, you could have done this. But, you know, not everyone's perfect, and, you know, it's not optimum, and there will be people who can't even do this through the entire transit. But if through January to July you can make a choice and see, you know, is this going to work? Like, can I relate to this person or this career or this house or whatever it is? Can I relate to it in a way that shows me strongly? Or can I relate to it in a way that doesn't trigger off all of my insecurities of the past? And if you can't, or if the other person can't, it's really important to not put yourself through it, because you are very strong with this energy. Like, you're very strong at getting what you want. So if you want something, like, it's a little bit easier to get. So yes, if you want someone more, then you want to not have insecurities in your life, you'll probably get them along with the insecurities that they come with. That is possible. It's also possible that if you want to have a healthy relationship, or you want to evolve past your own negative cycles as a person, you can do that, and the relationship can go to the next level. But will the other person do that? You know, that's up to them. But just like really understand, moving into this energy, that you can easily get what you want. So the thing to be worked on is what you want, and what you're afraid of not having if you don't achieve something, or if you don't like have the relationship, or if you don't have the career, if you don't have these things. Like, it can become a bit insatiable and like really fiery, you know, like Jupiter and Sagittarius is extremely fiery energy. So if we feel a lack or like a void, you know, like a water energy, like a Pisces energy, or if we feel like space and time are not being taken up, we can get a little bit shaken. We can start to like tremble a bit with this energy. Like, oh my gosh, I have nothing to fill my time. What am I going to invest my energy into? Am I going to implode on myself? That's really the only negative aspect of this transit, is that we just can get on in our own ways by not understanding what we want, or by not understanding that we can have the freedom to invest our energy how we like. We can get too invested in the idea that we don't have as much control as we think that we do. So if we lose something, there's simply nothing to invest our energy into. And then we like fear like falling into a depression, or we fear falling into something that takes away our energy in a way that we've not wanted, like, having to take on a really difficult job just to pay the bills, even though it's a job you've never wanted to have. And it's sort of like a last result, or a worst case scenario. It doesn't have to be that way. If you want the career, you will get it. If you want the relationship, you will get it. If you want the beautiful house, you will get it. But it's going to be important to not think that achieving those things finishes the game, because another thing that you can get ambitious to a fault with this transit, as I was mentioning earlier. You can get to a point where you think, okay, I'm going to get to the top of this career and that's the end. Like I'm going to like that type of person who invests everything they have into one bag. It's like they want this position or they want this experience so badly that they can't see past it. And they can't see, like I've been there, we've probably all been there in some way. Like, you get really connected into a goal, and once it's over, there's nothing there because you've invested all of your eggs into that basket, and then it's over, and then you feel very empty, and then that's when like the traumatic cycles start happening. So don't be afraid to multitask your investments of energy. Like, okay, put a few eggs into this basket, put a few over here, so you have options. Again, whenever there is Sagittarius energy, you've got to have options, you've got to have choices, you've got to have possibilities to work with. It's very imperative, and you will benefit strongly through having them. And the only thing that gives you some of these more difficult experiences that I'm speaking about is if you're having some kind of strong like Saturn or Pluto transit as well at the same time. Like, Jupiter is the great benefic, it's at home. If it's like on your, like if you have like a Venus in Sagittarius, or like what else would I say would be good? Like a moon in Sag, or like obviously sun sign Sagittarius is as well. Those conjunctions will be so uplifting for you. Like, it will be hard to mess it up. Like, don't even think about it, because it's just going to be really hard to mess it up. And again, things are easy. As I said at the beginning, like easiness is prevalent with this type of energy, especially for, Gemini, Pisces, Virgo, Sag people. The Virgo and Pisces, it can be a little bit dicey actually, because things can really go like one direction or another. But the Gemini, Sag people, like, really, you have like such an incredible opportunity to thrive with this transit. Let things be easy on yourself. Don't let them like overtake you. And like the most important thing for this energy for everyone is to embrace humor, like laughter. Like, things are going to start getting funny, okay? Like people are going to start getting higher vibrations. Yes, like laughter is an incredible way to raise the vibration. Laughter is cleansing for the nervous system. It's cleansing for the energetic frameworks. It really calibrates you. It's a way of calibrating your system. So don't avoid humor. Like, that's a major red flag for this energy. Like, see things in a humorous light. Don't take things too seriously with this transit. Like, you have like a boss or a coworker or someone that's like really hard to deal with. Try to laugh about it rather than like really being upset or shaken by like these small things. Like, laugh about them, find humor in them, even if they don't paint you in a great light. Because the only time that like things like that become a big problem is when we take them too seriously. Like, it's only as big of a problem as you make it out to be yourself. You do your work well, you commit well to your relationship, then you're going to have well work and well relationships. It's as simple as that. But if you do choose to like prioritize, like what went wrong in the relationship, or the insecurity, or like, oh, the possibility of like, oh, this person's cheating on me when I have no proof of that, or any of those like types of like paranoia types of things, like, oh, what does this person in my job really think of me? What are they really doing behind my back? Like, those things do get expanded, if there's too much thought investment into them, and you have to move forward when that happens. Like, it's time to go the other direction when that's prevalent. Or you can laugh about it. You can laugh, like, say, wow, that person, their makeup looked really funny when they said that, and their face did something very odd, and I looked funny too, and I'm going to laugh about that, rather than making it about like this really unsolvable problem, And I mean, you can kind of feel it. You can kind of feel that all you really need to do right now is laugh. Like that's all that your body really needs. Like, can you just like wake up in the morning and like throw on like a dressing kimono and like dance through your house and see everything as an opportunity? You see like the last $20 bill in your wallet and you're like, forget rent. I'm going to like go to the horse races and invest in a horse. And then I'm going to go to like an antique shop and buy like that jade egg that's caught my eye for like the last 7 years, but no one's ever bought it. And it's just sort of sat there on that shelf. I'm going to go buy buy that now, and I'm gonna like put it next to my flower arrangements as a centerpiece on my table. And then like I'm going to start like focusing on that when I'm like doing yoga in my living room, or when I'm having like my morning coffee. And it's like weird little eccentric experiences like that cleanse your karma like really quickly. So I do encourage it. Of course I'm not encouraging you to not pay your rent, or to not or to like be too crazy, but you can't be too pragmatic with this transit. That's a really probably the most important thing about this video and about this channeling as I'm feeling it right now, is beware of too much pragmaticism, too much like King of Swords, Queen of Swords energy, things that are too formulaic, because sometimes there's like an error in a formula. You know what I mean? Like for any of you who do math, like I'm not great at math, but like sometimes you're trying to solve a formula and you don't get it right. Like even if you're really good at it, like you miss a number or you balance something wrong, and like then you don't even know that it's wrong until like the teacher corrects it. That's a symbol for right now. So like maybe don't try so hard to solve formulas, or to like balance numbers too much. I mean, unless it's like your job, you can do really good if it's your job. But like situations of life, like being manipulative or trying to formulate situations, or formulate or triangulate relationships, and excelling, getting further in a career in a very thought out and planned, like strategic way. Not really the best idea. You will see that people who are more impulsive, more spontaneous, and do things the eccentric way, you will see that they get ahead in very, very like eclectic, odd ways. Like people who are, like dancing through their houses and in like dressing kimonos at like 2 a.m. with like Starbucks or something, like, and thinking about like the jade eggs that they're going to buy. It might sound a little bit manic, and maybe it is. This is a little bit of a manic energy, but not in an unhealthy way. It's just very energetic. It's very strong. It's very like, I have energy. I'm going to channel my energy. I'm going to throw my body parts around. You will see that those people, in comparison to the people who are up studying all night, or in comparison to the people who are doing things the right way, or the formulaic way, or the tried and true traditional way, the Saturnian way, you'll see that they succeed, but not quite as quickly. But they may succeed more in the long term, because something else that we have to take into account is that Saturn is also at home. And that could be like even a video of its own. Over the next year of 2019, we are going to have both Jupiter and Saturn placed in their home signs. What a blessing. Everybody can thrive in 2019. If you want to. We have Saturn in one of its best signs. We have Jupiter in one of its best signs. All of the related themes and ideals of those planets are channeled and manifested in ways that are easier than they've been in a really long time. And of course, some of the traditional ideals of this type of placement will come into effect as well. Of course, Jupiter and Sagittarius are both the signs of travel, higher study, academics, prestige, moving up, optimism, benevolence. So really think about all of those words and think about how you would like to channel those types of concepts. Everybody will be traveling. Everybody will be making some kind of journey, whether it be an international journey, or a journey to health, a journey to, writing the record, or a journey to publishing the book. Everyone is going to be moving and progressing further up and further into their heart's desires. So really think about how you would like to channel that energy over the next year, because sky is the limit with that right now, especially if you're someone who has like Sagittarius energy in your chart. Don't discount how strong it can be. Don't take from your opportunity, and don't take from the possibilities that are coming forward, because it's really strong. Like it's really strong. Like music is going to be incredible. Like movies, cinema, anything that's like artistic, and anything also like philosophic, anything philosophic or anything academic, like all that, we're going to see increases and really wonderful content coming out relating to those types of fields. So I feel like we're all going to be extremely entertained over 2019. Also political things like Jupiter and Sag are both political energies as well. So there will probably be quite entertaining and changing things happening in that department as well. So in concluding messages, what I can say as we're moving into this energy is prepare your stage and get ready to think about like what your life as a stage looks like. I feel like we've been focusing for a long time on the structure of the stage, on the backdrop, on like what is there, and that's still going to be a factor in the beginning of this transit. But I spoke a little bit about January to July 2019. by like August to December 2019, that's like when we need to have the stage ready and we need to be on the stage and we need to be existing healthily in our life without thinking too hard about things too. This type of video is nice, but also can you just be intuitive and understand what you yourself need and what your experiences entail? And can you just like live in your life and enjoy your life? Like, can you allow yourself to enjoy it regardless and to know when to make a change when it's necessary and to not necessarily make that into a situation which has to be that hard. Things are aligning and your stage is being prepared, and enjoy, like, especially in like the second half of 2019, but for some of you it can be like the entire transit if you've done a lot of work leading up to this period of time. Enjoy like what your stage looks like and what your performance and projection to the world looks like, and crafting that. That's one of the most beautiful things of this energy, is crafting your projection, your persona, your desires for the future, like what you can be without restriction, without limitation. The boundaries had to be up over the last few years. The limitations had to be realized over the last few years. And to an extent, that is always the case. But with this type of energy, you can really boundlessly and infinitely look towards your potential, look towards your projection, and look towards your wants and desires on your stage and in your truth and in your ability to thrive. So I'm not even going to project what that would really look like for you individually, but, you know, especially like latter 2019, how can crafting your stage become such an incredible experience? Like, really enjoy that process and maybe really work towards that and work towards like, okay, how can I make my life the stage that I've always wanted it to be and the performance that I've always wanted it to be. It's really a wonderful type of conceptualization with that energy, and that energy becomes very happy and very utilizable, very connected, and very prepared to help you thrive when you step into that place of performing your life and performing with strength and abundance. Anyway, everyone, I really hope that these messages have been helpful. As I'm recording this, Jupiter is actually still in Scorpio, so I think I'm going to make a follow-up to this, like into 2019, like once I really get a handle on this energy, because, you know, I'm channeling this off of, you know, still Jupiter in Scorpio, so like it's hard to see like that things can be so well and that things can be so great, but I know that, you know, it's what has to happen, and I'm like prepared to really embrace such an abundant, benevolent experience. But yes, I will come back later into the future and make a follow-up to this about like other ideas that I have for this, because this is only halfway there, and there's a little bit of a surprise with this type of transit always, and I do really want to make that clear. I may even put that in the description box below. Like this transit, you know, from November 8th, 2018 to December 2nd, 2019, there's a bit of a surprise there, and a bit of something that can never really be predicted or known, because it would take away from its magic. So take all of this with a grain of salt, and it's not entirely what will happen. So I hope you like surprises, I hope you like spontaneity, and I hope you like the idea of having impulses, desires, and connections, and abundance and benevolence. It's yours for the taking if you want it. But yes, as I said, please subscribe to my channel if you get the opportunity. You can click on the center of the screen to find me on Patreon if you would like to support my channel and readings like this in the future. And I am available. I'll put my details in the description box below. There'll be like minute details about this transit, about like my social media if you wanted to book a reading with me, and just any other relative information. You know, the links for the Jupiter Strong products will be down there below as well. Much love, and I hope you guys are excited for this. Woohoo, Jupiter is in Sagittarius. Bye, everyone.